Hey, what's going on, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. It's Ben Morgan, and as you know, the Miami Dolphins just wrapped up their Thursday night football game against the Bengals, falling to the Cincinnati Bengals 27-15. Obviously, a rough game, a tough one to talk about, especially right after the game as we're trying to process everything. But we'll recap, we'll give some top takeaways, and then obviously shift our focus and attention to the health and well-being of Tua Tagovailoa. But real quick, before we get started, as always, drop your thoughts and top takeaways from the game in the comments below. Let's get started as we saw the Miami Dolphins drop their first game of the season, falling to 3-1. And obviously, just talked about it, Tua injured. Top takeaway, didn't want to see that. Look, hindsight is 2020. It's easy to say now that Tua had no business being in that game and he should have been held out. But man, this injury, this one, the look, the feel, the way everyone reacted, this was bigger than football. I mean, when you see a guy take that hit and he's not moving and the fingers and the hands immediately tense up and they're contorted all crazy, like it's scary. And I don't know about you guys, but I was deflated. The game didn't matter as much anymore. You watched it differently. You felt more for the player than you did for the outcome of the game. And I'm not going to speculate anything about how long he'll be out or the long term prognosis on that. But man, in regards to the game, there's no doubt in my mind that that moment in the game changed everything. I mean, honestly, he had the one mistake, the deep shot to Tyreek that obviously got intercepted. That was a pass that you got to take back. You can't have that. But other than that, he looked pretty solid. I mean, there was like a play, I think it was like one or two plays before that interception. That throw that he had over those defenders and then before the safeties to Gesicki, that's Tua. That's the accuracy. That's the exact play we want to see. So you could tell that this was going to be another good game, another solid game, a game that comes right down to the end. Miami was going to be in this game despite the defense being so beat up and being on the field for all those plays. You just had the feeling that this game was going to be another good, fun Dolphins game. But here's the deal, man. Tua just has that fight in him. And honestly, sometimes it's to his own detriment. It just kind of comes back to haunt him. In college, he tells Nick Saban in a blowout, in a first half blowout, look, give me one more possession. He goes out there, he takes the one more possession, he tries to extend a play, gets the hip injury. Tonight, he opts to play, the coaches opt to play, the front office lets him play. Could have just thrown that ball away, could have made a decision earlier. Instead, he tries to extend the play, tries to make another play, gets the head and neck injury. And you can't blame him for that. The guy, he's out there because he's a playmaker. He wants to make plays. You can't hate him for that. But man, somehow we have to try to instill this live to see another day approach, which is going to be easier than said than done. And as fans, buckle up because this is what all we're going to hear about for a long time now is the concussion protocol and whether or not Tua should have been playing and whether or not the Dolphins violated any protocols or any rules. So honestly, I'm sure more news and information is going to come out, and then I'll have more opinions and feelings on the situation. But right now, I'm probably not going to release this until Friday morning, recording it Thursday right after the game. Just kind of just numb, deflated from everything, from that injury to the loss. It's just kind of hard to process everything right now. But at the end of the game, they did say that he was going to be released from the hospital, expected to fly home with the team. So that's probably the best case scenario right there. That's great news. But scary, deflating moment that you never want to see from anybody. But let's go on to the next takeaway, and that's sloppy signs of a short week. And honestly, I probably missed a few things since I wasn't writing these down as they happened in this game. But it's hard to win when the following things happen. We give up an opening drive touchdown for the third straight game. And keep in mind, week one against New England, they were driving. They were essentially in scoring position before Howard tipped that ball away from Parker and Holland comes over and intercepts it. So damn near giving up an opening score every week so far. In the process of all that, Keon Crossing gets the stupid personal foul. I believe that put him half the distance to the goal. Chase Edmonds, while Tua was still in the game, he drops the surefire touchdown. Obviously, the Tua interception. Jason Sanders, Thought he was kind of back to his normal self. He misses a 52-yard field goal. Actually, it got blocked, so it's not right straight on him, but still on the team. Then he also misses an extra point. Xavier Howard gets beat on the touchdown to T. Higgins. Obviously, later we see his groin injuries acting up. We're settling for field goals from the 2-yard line in the second half. Obviously, the Teddy to Mike Gesicki miscommunication leading to the late game interception, essentially putting the game out of hand. That's a lot of stuff. I rattled off a lot of stuff there. And like I said, I'm sure I'm missing a few things. You can't win a game against any team with all of that negative stuff going on. And honestly, I think the Bengals are a good team. Are they better than Miami if Tua is healthy and if you're not playing on a short week where your defense played the equivalence of 2 games 3-4 days before? I don't personally think the Bengals are, but you can't always have perfect conditions and things line up your way every single week in the NFL. It doesn't work like that. There's always going to be variables, there's going to be factors that come into play. And tonight's mistakes were obviously just way too much to overcome. Rather than having a third takeaway, I've got a couple of quick miscellaneous ones to end up here. And number one miscellaneous was we now need this extra week for rest more than I assumed even coming into this, knowing that we would need the extra rest. But now Howard's groin is acting up. Who knows about Tua's health? Josh Boyer's got to get that first couple of drive defense figured out. It's a great time for a few extra days before that week 5 game. My miscellaneous number 2 I got here is Raheem Mostert may have taken a little bit more control of the running back RB1 duties. Now, I think he and Chase Edmonds still remain in a bit of that running back by committee. Chase Edmonds did get the touchdown today, but Edmonds gets 5 carries, 6 yards, drops the touchdown, while Mostert gets 15 carries for 69 yards. Looks like he's got that little extra patience. He's got that little extra burst, has the history with Mike McDaniel. So I think that's going to be interesting to watch moving forward here. But when the game was on the line and it mattered, Raheem Mostert was the guy in the game. And lastly, I singled out 3 players: Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, and Tyreek Hill, because those 2 big guys up front continue to just be consistent, moving people. They held Joe Mixon to 2.5 yards per carry. They have been getting it done. And obviously, the Bengals offense was sort of held in check until the very end there when things were starting to fall apart. But their contributions cannot be undersold despite a loss. You got to give them their props. And Tyreek Hill, that's my third guy. 10 catches, 160 yards. The deep ball that he brought in from Teddy Bridgewater after a little bit of a bobble. So the concentration that he showed on that, the shiftiness that he shows, the speed that he shows. In an otherwise depressing game, Tyreek Hill was once again a bright spot for the Miami Dolphins. But like I said, Dolphins fans, that's going to be my time for today. That's what I've got. Let's hear yours. Drop those thoughts, takeaways, and stay tuned. I'm sure I'm going to have more news coming up here about Tua and his health in the near future. So despite having those extra few days, you know damn well that there is going to be no shortage of Dolphins news to talk about. So that's what I've got for today, Dolphins fans. Get through this one. We can't enjoy it like we enjoyed the last ones, but get through this one, and we'll be back. So till then, Dolphins fans, fins up.